1959, an oil company hired its own scientists. Their mission: study the effect of fossil fuels on the atmosphere. The results came back clear, precise, terrifying. Carbon emissions were changing the climate, and if they continued, the consequences would be catastrophic. The report was written, the scientists gave their warning, the executives read it, then they closed the file. And for the next 50 years, they told the public the exact opposite. This is the story of the greatest corporate cover-up in history. At the beginning of the 20th century, oil was the most valuable resource on Earth, and those who controlled it controlled everything: Standard Oil, Shell, BP, ExxonMobil. These companies weren't just selling fuel, they were financing governments, influencing elections, shaping wars. Think about that for a moment. Not just energy companies, not just businesses, political forces, military forces, economic forces, all wrapped into one industry. They sat in boardrooms and made decisions that toppled leaders, funded campaigns that changed borders, negotiated deals that rewrote history. The oil industry didn't just power the modern world, it built it, designed it, controlled it, on its own terms, for its own benefit. And the world had no idea how deep it went, how far the roots reached, or how long they had been growing. 1953, Iran. A democratically elected prime minister wanted to nationalize the oil companies to give Iran's oil back to its people. A reasonable demand, a democratic decision, made by a leader chosen by his people. Months later, he was overthrown. A CIA-backed coup, behind it, oil interests, the will of the people erased overnight, as if it never existed, as if democracy itself was just an inconvenience. 1973, the Arab oil embargo. The global economy ground to a halt overnight. Oil prices quadrupled. Entire nations paralyzed. Governments fell. Economies collapsed. Ordinary people waited in lines just to fill their tanks, just to heat their homes, just to survive. All because a handful of men decided to turn off the tap. This is what real power looks like. Not armies, not elections, not laws. Control over what the world runs on. Those who controlled the oil controlled the world. They knew it. They used it every single time. And they were just getting started. 1977. Exxon's own scientists were raising alarms from inside. Their conclusion was stark, undeniable. If fossil fuel use continues, global temperatures will rise to dangerous levels by 2050. This was not an outside report. This was not a fringe theory. This was Exxon's own research, their own laboratories, their own data, their own scientists, paid by Exxon, reporting to Exxon. The executives saw the report. They read every word. They understood exactly what it meant for the planet, for future generations. And then they made a decision not to act, not to warn the public, not to change course, to bury it completely, permanently. In the decades that followed, Exxon and the other oil majors spent hundreds of millions of dollars funding fake research designed to cast doubt on climate science, to manufacture confusion, to hide the truth they had already found. In 1988, scientist James Hansen testified before Congress. Climate change is real, and it is man-made. The world was shocked. The oil companies were not shocked. They already knew. They had known for over a decade. But now, the truth was coming out, and they had to act fast. Lobbyists flooded Washington, politicians received donations, fake scientific institutes were created. The message was carefully planted across every media outlet. Climate change is debatable. The science is not settled. We need more research. Sound familiar? It should. They copied the exact playbook of the tobacco industry. The same strategy, the same tactics, the same goal. Plant seeds of doubt, buy time, keep selling. And it worked. For decades, global climate policy was paralyzed. International agreements collapsed while the planet kept warming, while the clock kept ticking, while they kept profiting. Today, oil companies make green promises. Beyond petroleum, net zero by 2050, a sustainable energy future. The branding is clean, the messaging is warm and reassuring, but the numbers tell a very different story. Fossil fuel production continues at record levels, higher than ever before. Renewable energy investment remains a tiny fraction of total spending, designed to look good in annual reports and press releases. Lobbying budgets never stopped. Political donations never stopped. Obstruction of climate legislation never stopped. The green rhetoric is a curtain. Behind it, business as usual, profits as usual, and the planet paying the price as usual. Was there accountability? A few lawsuits were filed, a few fines were paid, a few apologies were issued. But the companies are still standing, profits are still at record highs, and fossil fuels are still warming the planet. Who will pay the cost of climate change? You would have to ask those who caused it, but they already know the answer. And once again, they will say nothing. We'll see you at Synatra.